In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the DOM in the context of TypeScript. So I'm going to assume that hopefully you know a little bit about the DOM, things like the document object. I'm in JavaScript over here in my console, not TypeScript land. And query selector, just as an example, or get element by ID, or add event listener. These different methods that we use to interact with our HTML and CSS via JavaScript. So I hope that you're somewhat familiar with them. If not, it's okay. We'll stumble through this together. But my main focus in this video is again to show how TypeScript interacts with these methods. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something simple. Let's add a button. My goal for this video is to have some sort of alert when we click a button. Very simple. So we'll add a button to our index.html that just says, click me. Okay. Over here, our live refresh, we got that button. So I can select that, or I can do document.query selector and select the very first button, or I could give it an ID if I wanted to. Let's just do it this way though. And I'm going to save that to a variable, const btn. So in JavaScript over here, we don't have to care about types, but let's pretend we did. What is the type of this button element? What is it? Or how about even broader than that, what is the type of this document? This document, I'm going to do a console.dir so we can see it. A very special object in the browser, right? And it includes hundreds of properties and methods. So we don't have a type for it in JavaScript, but if we were to describe that type, if we were trying to do this in TypeScript, we would have to do a lot of work. We would say, all right, there's a character set that is a string. There's a char set that's a string. There's a child element count. That's a number. There's cookie that's a string. Not to mention that some of these are properties that are actually, they refer to complex objects, a node list, an HTML collection. Body right here. This refers to a body element, right? It has its own set of hundreds of properties. It's just a very complicated structure. But at the end of the day, it's still just an object with properties and methods. And if we want to do anything with this in TypeScript, we have to be sure that TypeScript knows what the types are. Otherwise, imagine I have some variable btn and I try and call add event listener. Well, TypeScript has to know that we can call that method. Normally, if I just make something in TypeScript, right, const btn, and we set that equal to something, let's just pretend you don't know what it is. I'll hide it. I've got this btn variable, and I want to call add event listener. Of course, TypeScript's going to complain and say that thing doesn't have that method. TypeScript has to know what this thing is and what it can and can't do. And the good news for us is that TypeScript does know about the document. It does know about DOM elements and all the different element types and add event listener and query selector. And I'll show you in the next video how it knows that and how we can even turn that off if we're not using the DOM. But for now, let's take advantage of it. So if I just type document and I hover over it, take a look at this type annotation. It says document is of type document. If I typed any other thing, right, like chicken, I'm going to get an error saying that's not defined. But TypeScript automatically knows about the document object and its type. Just like JavaScript automatically knows that there's a document object, the difference, of course, is that TypeScript has a type. So if I want to take a look at this type definition, I can right-click and go to type definition. And then I get this little window in VS Code where it's a little hard to see with my resolution for this recording, but there's an interface predefined for us called document. And it says it extends node, which is another thing. It also extends document and element event handlers, document or shadow root, font face source, all these different things. And it then describes that the document has to have this thing called URL. That's a string. And if we were to go take a look at the document here, there is a URL and it's set to a string. And we could do the same for all these other things. A link color, anchors. So anchors is an HTML collection. And we're going to learn about this angle bracket syntax when we cover generics. We've got BG color, that's a string. Document.bg color. There we go, it's a string. So just as a simple example, if I wanted to change that, BG color, well, TypeScript knows about that. And then if I try and set that equal to something, Oh, it's just going to say it's deprecated. Yeah, you don't really use this anymore. But if I tried to make it a number, TypeScript would complain and say, type number is not assignable to that thing that's supposed to be a string. I've just opened the type definition up in a separate file window just so it's a bit larger. But I'm looking at the document interface still. It's a real long one, but there you go, interface document. And let's just look at one more thing. So we've got read-only properties, right? You're not supposed to be able to change any of this stuff thanks to TypeScript. These are things that the document object knows, and it builds, or it is created based upon the browser itself and when the window loads. But then we've got methods. So take a look at all these different methods that can be called. Create attribute, create document fragment, create element. We use that one all the time to make a new element. We've got, keep going down. Let's look at query selector, or how about get element by ID? So right here is that method. It's just a really long interface. Get element by ID. You have to provide a string that is the element ID. Right, so if I try this, I don't have anything with an ID, but why don't we add an ID to our button? And we'll call this BTN. Sure. So over here, if I do get element by ID, TypeScript's going to complain, you have to provide a string. And I'll do just that, BTN, and now it's happy. If I had done a number, of course, it's unhappy. Okay, so that hopefully should then select our button, and we'll save that to a variable, const BTN. And to end this video, we're not going to manipulate it in any way. Why don't we just print out BTN? And in my browser, we do see it printed out. Okay, so we didn't do anything really except select a button. We're going to build on this, but the focus of this video is that we have all of these types built in. TypeScript knows about the document. It's a very complicated object. It knows about its properties. It has these types already defined. It knows about all the different methods. It knows that get element by ID requires a string input. And it knows that it's going to return an element, which we didn't talk about because I'm going to save that for a future video. It's a little more complicated than it might seem. Anyway, that is just an intro to this DOM built-in type definition. Next up, we're going to learn why this is included and how to turn it off, as well as how to include our own things that we may need, other fancy new features or definitions that TypeScript might not know about.